How do you guys treat your wood, and should you? Today's video, we're going to be talking about wood. So we're going to go over a couple things that I think are good best practices if you bought some new wood, even if you scavenged it from your local rivers, streams, lakes, and what I do to prepare my wood to be safe for the aquarium. All right, first thing is find a pot large enough. Now this is a huge pot, and I'm lucky that we have this. There's some pieces of wood that, like this guy down here, that's a big piece of wood. I was not able to do it, and that's one that I grabbed from my local river. But for that, if you guys can't find a pot to boil the wood in, you can definitely soak it. I soaked it forever, and I don't even know if it's still fully sinkable or waterlogged, but I took a pressure washer to it, sprayed it down, took a bristle brush, might have been metal, scraped off any soft wood that I could find, and then sprayed it down again, and then just let it soak. I can't remember if I put it in a empty tank that I had or let it soak in the bathtub, but any of those will do. But for today, we have a pot that's somewhat big enough that we're gonna boil it. So we'll boil it for about 30 minutes. As you can see, there's, this part, all the top pieces are not gonna be submerged. So after about 15-20 minutes, we're gonna take those large pieces and somehow put them in so they can kind of take turns and rotate on which parts get submerged. All right, so I'm gonna fill that up with water and let's go. All right, so I'm just gonna add water to this guy, pop it on the stove and let it boil. So luckily I've got my aquarium hose. Just fill this up and put it on high on the stove top. All right, so I hooked up my aquarium line, filling it up, fire is going, then we'll keep it going until, like a little burn mark. Keep it going until it's boiling for about 15 minutes. Rotating the other side, making that tannin tea. All right, so probably about an hour in, I turned it off and just let it soak. You can see all that tannin tea. It's still steaming a little bit, still warm. That's why I just let it soak in there. So it's super potent. It's still warm. So I'm gonna leave that in there for a bit. Reason I let it soak is to get it waterlogged. So as soon as I put it in my aquarium, I don't have to worry about it floating up. I might just take like a 5-gallon bucket and then split them up with some fresh water. So what you can do is you can use that tannin water to put in your tanks as like a tannin extract. It is definitely beneficial. I've done that before, but not on the first boil. So I'll probably dump it out and then add some more water to it, some fresh water, and then let that soak, and then probably use that. You could probably, you're probably safe if you use the first boil tannin water. It is going to be the most potent. The reason I don't use it is I don't know what's in there. I'm not worried about any like creepy crawly stuff, just because the hot water should have disinfected it and sterilized everything, killed off any bacteria or whatever could be in there. The reason I don't use it is because I think it's dirty, because along with the tannins is going to be all dirt and grime that you're kind of cleansing off the wood as well. So that you're just going to introduce that into your tank. Not the biggest fan. I mean, it's not going to be the end of the world because tannins are technically dirty anyways, but yeah, I mean, that's really it. All the lights are off in here, but I did get some more wood off Amazon. Those two big pieces I've got from the swap. Still trying to decide what I'm going to do. I don't know if I'm going to put in my 55. I do want to rescape my 40, so I might use those. We'll see. But yeah, I think that covers it. So I'm going to empty out that water, probably put some hot water in it, and just let that soak overnight. Might do it for a few days, just because I don't want them floating up in the aquarium. But you could just put it in the aquarium, just let it float until it's ready to sink and gets waterlogged. Okay. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments. I've done this several times with wild driftwood and driftwood that I've bought from aquarium stores, online, or sellers, and I've never had an issue. One thing to note, the wood, depending on what wood it is going to leach tannins. And depending on what wood it is, it might leach tannins for a while. So keep that in mind. It doesn't mean it's dirty driftwood. They're also going to get like this spongy web-like fungus that grows all over it. That's also normal. I've seen in a lot of comments, especially on Amazon, that people give it a 1 star because they said it's growing mold or whatnot. That's not the case. Wood does deteriorate when it gets wet. I mean, wood is just always just dying anyways. So yeah, I mean, don't leave bad comments like that if you don't know what you're doing with the driftwood. Just my 2 cents, all right? So an example is this guy right here. This piece of wood I grabbed from the river, but if you look right there, you can see it's got mushrooms growing out of it. I mean, it's kind of cool, but I don't know. Got my little spout with the water. My fish have been fine. No issues, no deaths since day one. Um, yeah, same thing goes for that big piece down there. It grew a lot of biofilm. That's what it's called. It grew a lot of biofilm when I soaked it in the water. It'll probably start growing. You'll notice it probably like day 2, day 3, maybe even up to day 5. And it just gets bigger. You could siphon it off. I've done that before. I've also left it. The plecos will bunch on it. If you got shrimp, they'll eat it. It's natural, so you don't have to worry about it. It'll probably last a few weeks. Some might last longer. I guess depends where you get it from, but I've had some that lasted like 3 weeks, and then some a lot longer than that, maybe like a month and a half. So don't be alarmed. Hopefully you guys learned something today. I'll see you guys in the next one.